If you have the ability to learn more about the technology that you're using, making time to learn about it really does give you time in return.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. As always, I'm your host, Smike. Today we have a great episode lined up. Many lawyers tend to believe that, hey, once I make the sale and it's a one-time thing, then it's over, right? There's nothing else that can be done. It's, in the past now. We are here to tell you that it's not the case. We are looking beyond the sale, what can be done beyond the sale. And to help me out, explaining everything, I have Manni Sandoval. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, absolutely. So just a little context for everybody listening. Manni has we've been in contact for a while now. We've had our interactions on social media. Maybe if you follow us on Instagram, you see Manni in the comments sometimes. So Manni's been a friend of ours for a while now. So very excited to have her on the show. But first, I'd like for the audience to kind of get to know who you are, what your motivation has been throughout your life to get to where you are today.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I am an account executive with LEX Reception, specifically a bilingual account executive. And I first started a little over 20 years ago as an insurance agent. So I was an insurance agent for 12 years. And then when I joined LEX Reception, that was about 9 years ago. And in that time frame, I have experience under my belt as a business owner, of course, an account executive in sales, leadership. So it's been an overall just mix of different perspectives that I bring to the table. But more specifically, why I'm passionate about helping law firms is because I have the perspective from two sides of that coin. On one side of the coin, I've had to hire attorneys for unfavorable circumstances throughout my life. And now, thankfully, I'm hiring them for favorable circumstances. But on the other side of that coin, I have been the business owner that's stressed out, that doesn't have time, that's, at a football practice for my son with all my files trying to catch up, but never really catching up. So there have been times in my life where I've seen an attorney go into complete beast mode, to help a family member. And so I've seen what they do. I speak to them every single day and hear how passionate they are, sometimes on the verge of tears over a client experience. So I take that to heart, and I don't take my role lightly at all. It's day in and day out, just helping attorneys with those different perspectives that I can help them with and educate them on things like getting time back and empathizing with their clients. And so that's what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love what you said there. You help, you love helping lawyers, give them new perspectives on things, and that's something that I also care deeply about myself in terms of, these are people who have dedicated their lives to helping others out of situations, and for us to be able to give them a hand with certain things definitely is very it's very driving. It's very driving, emotional feeling.
It really is.
Yeah. So we're talking about going beyond the sale today, how law firms can not just stop at the sale. I think I said this in the intro, how typically many solo or small law firms believe that, okay, I make the sale, I get the case done, and then I kind of move on, and that's, I'll get the testimonial or something like that, but then that's pretty much where it ends, that relationship for most cases, right? There's obviously different, like estate planning could be different, and family law and so on and so forth. But what does going beyond the sale, what does that mean? What are we talking about when we say that?
I look at it as a healthy marriage. And I'll explain. So ideally, a relationship starts with the courtship. Ideally.
Yes. Yeah.
And you show your best self. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you ask the person to marry you. If they agree, you get married, they sign the dotted line, and then what? Do you become complacent and eventually get a divorce, right? Because there's no more courtship, there's no communication. A healthy marriage is a partnership of two people that work together. Even if there's something that goes awry, they work through it. The courtship continues, you continue impressing them, you continue caring and asking questions, and what are your interests. And so that's how I look at going beyond the sale. Is my job's not done. I need to check in. I need to make sure that we're doing a good job, that they're happy with us. And if they're not happy, how can we make you happy? Tell me what's going on. And
Yeah.
so caring, that's what I mean by healthy marriage. Is that the sale essentially is, when you've gone to the courthouse and signed and you're
Excited.
married.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And now what?
Yeah. No, that's a great analogy there. Especially since, you know, there's this idea that what I see a lot. Let me preface this. What I see a lot when it comes to, like, say, a lawyer's their view on social media, that they need to go viral on social media in order for social media to work for them. Well, that's simply not the case. It's a long game. It's something where it's like, it's that nurturing process. It's like you have someone in your system, so their email in your system. It doesn't just stop there. You nurture, and maybe they don't need your services. So that's a great analogy, because once you've signed on that dotted line, once they've become a client and made that sale, the work doesn't stop. Obviously, you have to do the work, but then it doesn't even stop after that. I mean, it's about, like you said, that communication. Keeping up with that communication, and things can stem from it, right? Things can stem out of that relationship. It's not meant to just be a dead end kind of thing, and sometimes things happen and they go awry, and like you said, sometimes marriages end up in divorce, and it is what it is. But most of the time, you're gonna want to work on that communication, work on that, keeping it a healthy relationship.
That consistency that you're talking about, it's not easy. It's not by any means. So there's tools that I'll talk about a little bit later that help with that. I am glad that you brought up the social media consistency, because that is a downfall of mine that I need to be better at, for sure. Our CEO sometimes reaches out and says, "Hey, how's it going? You need any help?" And I always appreciate that from her. But it is something that I need to be more consistent of. So I'm going to take note of that.
This is awesome. Awesome. So, okay, so let's dive into, like, some of the strategies that could go into this, right? Like, for example, we mentioned, I think I said the word nurturing before. That's a strategy, right? Is there any other strategies, or is that really the all encompassing strategy to kind of think about?
Well, nurturing is tough if you don't have the right systems in place.
Ah.
It's nearly impossible, because I feel the human mind can only handle so much information. And when you're first starting out, you may be able to, remember deadlines and things like that. But if you don't have a system in place, you can't do it. So what I recommend is have a healthy knowledge base of how, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering, how a case management system works. So if you have your client relationship management system, your
Mm-hmm.
CRM, some people call it a case management system. Learn how it works. Take advantage that account managers are there to give you demos. They're there to give you information on how it works. And so if you understand how your technology works, that allows you to be human in interactions. And what that means is, say I have a client, Bob Smith, right, that calls in and says, I'm upset because I haven't received a status update
Mm-hmm.
in, 2 days. So what that looks like in the background is I pulled up their file in the CRM, and I've opened up a note, inbound call. Mr. Smith stated that he is upset because he hasn't received a status update. I'm so sorry to hear that. And the human side of it sounds like this. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mr. Smith. Let me pull up your file, see what's going on here. And during that conversation, you've heard of dead air. and how bothersome it is because you don't know if the person's actually helping you or not. Fill that dead air with care. Ask, how's your day going?
I love that little rhyme. Fill that dead air with care. I love it.
You have to. It really helps. It goes such a long way because let's just say Mr. Smith says, "Oh, I'm having a rough morning. I adopted a dog from the shelter and he's having a hard time adjusting." That's huge. Notate it. Note to self. Mr. Smith just adopted a dog. I promise you it'll help out. And then, oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you just quickly, what's your doggy's name? You know, and now you're inadvertently de-escalating
Mm.
that interaction, and now you have him talking about his dog, who he tells you is named Benji. CRM, note to self, dog's name is Benji. Okay, Mr. Smith.
Opening up a little bit too.
Yes, and so what happens there is in your notes, you're going to set up follow-up tasks. What you tell Mr. Smith is, you know what, I see, let's just say the status update is going to take, 1 to 2 days. Let him know it takes 3. Mr. Smith, just to give yourself a little bit more time. I don't know what everybody's workloads look like. So, Mr. Smith, looks like your file, I will have a response for you in about 3 days' time. So set your task in that case management system for 2 days, even though you said 3 days. And the reason for that is because you want to make sure that you actually completed the task at hand. But then if you can, and it's completed, go ahead and give them a call on the 2nd day instead of the 3rd. So give them a call. Hi, Mr. Smith, I have that status update for you, but before I give you that to you, I'm just eager to know how Benji's doing. How's it working out? Okay, great. And, get that information. Note to self, Benji's adjusting well, whatever the case may be, or not. Sometimes they don't adjust well. And then give them the status update. And now start setting your tasks 2 weeks, a week, a month, whatever the case may be, to keep in touch with Mr. Smith. And every time you check in, if there's, time, ask about Benji. And so that relationship starts building outside of just representing the client. Does that make sense? And so if you have the ability to learn more about the technology that you're using, making time to learn about it really does give you time in return.
That's incredible advice, honestly. Like the from start to finish, what you were just explaining there was awesome. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the overarching kind of point you're trying to make is, hey, understand the technology that you're using, understand the tools that you have, and maximize those tools to your benefit. Absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. And that plays a role in really anything, right? Because even if you are like for what we do, for example, is we create content for lawyers to kind of stay in touch with their audience, right? And we're just maximizing tools is all we're doing. We it's content marketing, all that kind of stuff, right? But we're just, you've got a website or social media, and we're just maximizing that. We're just helping them stay in touch. So that aligns perfectly with what we preach as well. So that's really cool. Was there any other sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, we partner with that so well, because when you hire a company to do your website and all those little details that matter, right? When I called a divorce attorney, I remember the different websites I had to click on, and some of them it was like going on a scavenger hunt just to try to get through.
Yeah.
And then another one, which was the one that I ended up hiring, had the phone number listed where I could just click on it. And I clicked on it, I gave them a call, and then they also had a contact us form. And so from the prospective new client side of things, it is so important to have someone doing that for you, because it is very time consuming to look at all those little details. But then what happens in the background? Once you make that sale, what now? Do you have someone that immediately dials out? Do you have a follow-up system? Do you have your automations in place where they're getting calendar reminders? What's happening behind the scenes where, a company like Spotlight, they've done all the front end work. Now what?
Absolutely, and I was about to actually say that's where you guys and we come in to play, right? Is that um, a lawyer might not think about the minute details that have to go into certain things, like for example the positioning of different things on a website, right? That plays a big effect, that plays a part in the whole thing, like staying in touch and how quickly you get back to a customer that's calling, or or following up. That plays a big deal in terms of timing. So it's like all these things that are so minute, right? But they make a big difference. And I think going back to what we were saying before, about how we both are passionate about helping lawyers because they help people, so they can spend more time helping people because that's what they do best. Whereas leave the minute details to us because that's what we do best. No, that's awesome. Is there any more strategies that kind of come to mind? Any tips that you didn't mention there in terms of
I think with yes, thank you. I think with making sure that your staff and yourself are properly trained on the technology side of things, um, a lot of those tedious tasks can be handled by technology. The people answering your calls and calling back to do check-ins, they need to be able to be human, and they can't be human if they're so distracted by all of a heavy workload. And even if they do care, right, which ideally you want people that care, working for you, sometimes it comes across like they don't because of their tone. So when you're busy and you don't really have the time to talk to people, I can hear that. When I give
yeah,
your firm a call, I can hear the shuffling of the paperwork, the yeah, please hold one, and that's what it
yeah,
sounds like.
yep,
Instead of that fully focused human who's not overwhelmed with, trying to get through 6 files before lunch, or that human that's properly trained in the CRM system with being able to type during an interaction and not having to, stay extra or even use overtime to type in all the notes that they tried to get, throughout the day. So, yeah, just if you have all of that in place on the technology side, it alleviates the human to actually be human.
that's a great tip. I mean, yeah, obviously it's you can have great tools, but if you don't know how to use them, then then what's the point? Yeah. So how can a law firm track or measure the success? Like how would you say, because for example, just to bring social media back into the mix, say I wanted to grow on social media, right? Say I was an influencer. Not saying this for law firms, you don't need to grow and be influencers on social media, but say I wanted to, right? I would probably measure my success by how many followers I'm gaining, but also the engagement I'm getting on my posts. How in touch people are staying with me. Are they popping up daily, that sort of thing. That might not be the case necessarily, right? For measuring success with what we're talking about, right? Because it's more about getting that connection, that almost emotional connection, right? Establishing and keeping that. So how could you measure that success? Like, what are some of the things you would want to look for?
I think past analytics is like you said, what we're talking about here, because analytics are vital. If you don't have them, you can't measure success. Everyone has a different definition of success. Some people, consider high revenue. Yes, we're successful.
True.
We're doing our thing. That's awesome.
Very
The
true.
type of success that I'm talking about is kind words. So if after you're done representing Mr. Smith in this scenario that we keep talking about, um, um, let's just say you get a phone call one day and the person says, yes, my cousin Bob Smith, you used to represent him. I have a similar situation happening and I now need representation. He told me to give you a call. Those are the kind words that I mean, because in marketing, to obtain a lead costs money, but a referral costs $0.
That's right.
So once you're done speaking, doing the consult or the intake, whatever the case may be with the referral, pick up the phone, pull up your CRM. Don't forget to pull up your
That's
CRM.
right. Tools. Got to use the
Don't
tools.
forget. And then call Mr. Smith. Hey, how's it going? It's been, a couple years, months, whatever the case may be. Um, Guess what happened today? I received a call from somebody, privacy and all. And they said that you had nothing but kind words to say about us. And I just wanted to say thank you. How are you doing? Great. And hey, by the way, how's Benji? Well, Benji now has a brother named Scruffy. Awesome. So now in my CRM, note to self, Benji has a brother named Scruffy. And so at that point, what I'm probably going to do as an attorney is, because this new lead costed me $0 and my previous client gave me a referral, I'm probably going to, go to Amazon and order a doggy box of toys or treats and send that to Mr. Smith as a thank you. And hopefully that will keep me top of mind. If another scenario like this occurs again, he'll probably send me another referral. And I know that that's factual because I do it. About 25 years ago, when my father passed away, I had to hire an attorney. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what kind of attorney I needed. I just know I needed to save my mother's home. And I remember that they were so kind to me. They checked in on me the day of the funeral. They weren't calling for an appointment reminder. They just needed to know if I was doing okay. And that interaction, I've carried it for 25 years, and I still send them referrals.
Wow.
Till this day. And so that's what I need. That success is word of mouth, doing such an amazing job at building that relationship that the second you ask for a review, oh, absolutely, yeah, sure, send me the link. I'll do it right now while I'm on the line. Those, when you completed that so well, that relationship is easy, and there's longevity to it. I mean, if you want to spend money on, taking them out for a day of golf or out to dinner or lunch, great, but it's not necessary. It's not. Just being a human and caring. So I hear a lot of, we don't have time for that. We're so busy. We can't do check-ins. We don't have time to follow up on tasks. I understand. So if that's what's happening, just give me a call. I will map out your day for you. I will, teach you about automation and integration, outsourcing services like reception service. And that way you have the time to build the relationship and get those word of mouth referrals in, get the reviews in. Because if you can't remember their name, I guarantee you they can't remember yours.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very insightful. And it's the impact, right? I mean, lawyers every single day have the opportunity to have such an impact on people's lives that, it's that extra mile they don't have to take that extra mile. It's just about doing things the right way, and making sure that they, stay in touch with you, and they will remember you, yeah. What are, just real quick, because we only have like a few minutes left, but what are some of the big hurdles that you have seen in like the process? Like what are some of the pitfalls that the lawyers should watch out for, or, if any?
When I was a lot younger, one of the things that I had a hard time with was being set in my ways. And it was when things like email attachments came in. At the time, I was used to faxing, and I was in a groove, and I had my systems down, I had my process down, my day to day, and then all of a sudden, the underwriters and how you needed to submit files just changed like that. It seemed like it was overnight, and I remember being so frustrated because I was already set in a way of working. And I never wanted to feel that again. And so what I do now is I learn day in and day out. If there's a new system, I'm the first one to raise my hand. Let me learn about it. What are the ins and outs? How can this make my day better? How can this give me time back? And so I think that can be one of our biggest pitfalls, is not being able to accept change and not learning about the new systems and services and, things that are out there to help us work better. Because I guarantee you, your competition is. And if
Yeah.
if you want to get to a certain level, you have to be willing to grow, and you can't grow without learning, and you can't grow if you're stuck in a mindset of this is how it works and this is the only way it works. Then I mean, it may continue working for you, but not as well as if you're willing to grow.
Yeah. And I think a big message to kind of share with our audience is that it's okay to not have everything all figured out, right now. That's fine. Things are new to me that have been old news to somebody else for years, so it's okay to not have it all figured out. I think that's, where we both come in, is that we're able to kind of introduce a new perspective on certain things, and it's okay to accept help. For sure.
It definitely is. I think that's one of the biggest things I've learned. Again, at a very young age, I knew everything, right? No, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then I became stressed. I became overwhelmed. I wasn't the mom that I wanted to be. And I was carrying files everywhere, like I said, to my kids' practices. And so it wasn't until I learned to ask for help from the right people, right? If you're an expert in a certain area, I want to pick your brain. I want to know, please teach me, and that type of morphine into someone that loves to learn from someone who, 20 years ago was so stubborn, to now where I ask people, please teach me, please mentor me. What can I learn from you? And that helps my day to day. And, I have early afternoons where I spend my afternoons just living instead of just being stressed.
That's awesome. Well, Manni, where can the audience find you? How can they get in touch if they're interested in learning more about what you do?
Yes. So lexreception.com. And my direct line is actually 877-505-3134. You can just give us a call, and any one of us will be able to answer any questions that you'd like. You can schedule a video demo with us as well, where we'll share our screen, show you the different features we have to give you some of that time back, because we go much further than just reception service.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And listen, like I said before, we've had a friendship for a very long time, and Manni is definitely one of our better friends for sure. I mean, she's been awesome. I mean, I'm a little biased because she sometimes leaves awesome comments on our Instagram content that I make, so I'm a little biased, but it's a good bias.
That's my new Netflix. I watch your episode. I call them episodes, and sometimes there's one that I'm waiting for the second episode, and I think I've been waiting for a while now just to see where it went. And then I know you have one attorney or pretend attorney. I'm not sure, and your content is hilarious because there's a couple of episodes that get under my skin. And because the gentleman is so narcissistic almost, and I'm sitting there, are you serious? You can't be serious right now. And I'm talking to my phone like, why would you?
That's awesome. I mean, hey, listen, I just stirring some drama, I guess. I'm just stirring up some drama. That's awesome.
It cracks me up. I love those episodes.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, Manni, thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you enjoyed it. I did. And we inadvertently just wore the same color. That was. Oh my goodness, you're right. That's awesome. All right, everyone listening, thank you for listening. Have a terrific weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.